Hey, this is Jelly Belly here. First video on YouTube. Shout out to everybody who's tuning in. Thank you so much for giving me your ear and your time. Shout out to all the women who said, I don't think you're a black woman. So nice to know that you've got some people out here who have something to say. And I appreciate you taking 5 minutes to listen to what I want to say. Right now I want to talk about the April Mason situation because it's so, it's so sad that I actually feel the need to say something about this situation. This is not going to be a long video because I really don't have that much to say. So having said that, this will probably be like 2 hours long. I actually watched the videos as they dropped. I saw the first video where April came out and said what she had to say about her cousin nearly being abducted and how disappointed she was. And then I saw the second video and, you know, her really going in on black men. And what I want to say to the women who are upset about the backlash that black men are giving black women online. First thing I want women to understand is this is not personal. This is not personal against April Mason. This is not personal against her cousin. This is an issue with a narrative. Number two, people are disappointed. I don't know about anybody else. I know I was disappointed. This was serious poor judgment on April Mason's part. She should not have made those videos. This is a criminal case, according to you. Why would you take basically information that could damage the case to social media? You know, I'm not going to be dismissive and be like, you're a grown woman, you should know better. But it was poor judgment. Even though you may not have confidence in the police, it's their job to record and report what's happened so that it can be handled in a professional manner. Now, April Mason recently said, and I'm going to try and go through the videos in order in my mind. You know, she said, you know, nobody was hurt, no man was put in danger, no black man was endangered. I mean, obviously no black man is going to be endangered. We have no evidence as to who these people even are. Obviously not me, because you can hear from my accent, I'm not in the US. But even if I was, who are we looking for? Are we going to just, you know, hear abroad, wherever? Are we all supposed to hear someone say, oh, a guy did this, he looked like that, and we just run up on everybody that fits that description? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, the next thing is, with all respect, I don't like the fact that there's this whole victim narrative. I am sympathetic to April Mason in that she's been through a lot of struggles at the hands of black men. The fact that she's been through abuse as a child, she's suffered abuse at the hands of her partners. I'm not going to say that, you know, that counts for nothing. But as I said at the beginning of this video, this is not a personal attack on April Mason. This is an issue with a narrative. It's a mindset. It's a systemic problem where there is entitlement of black women in the black community. The mistake April Mason has made is that she feels that because she has done so much work defending black men and speaking up for black love, that she now deserves a payout. But her work is not a bank account. She doesn't pay in with video after video, seminar after seminar, and then she goes to, you know, Black Man ATM, puts in her I'm April Mason card and gets protection. Because what April Mason doesn't understand is, I don't think that in other cultures women are protected in a crazy way, the way that she thinks, or maybe we all think. Was it Katie Hopkins recently who was talking about, well, not recently, maybe about a year and a half ago, women getting attacked and men just walking away, white women. There was footage of a woman. She was attacked by a crazy man. She's white. The man is believed to be Eastern European in a train. And the two men, white men, who were opposite her, observed her being attacked and just got up and walked off. And she went in and reported and said, I wasn't even angry at the man who attacked me because maybe he's ill, but I was angry at the two men who got up and left me while I was being attacked. And I thought to myself, again, with all due respect, you white women like to push this whole, we're feminists, I am woman, hear me roar, I'm strong. You have sent out this message, you don't want to be helped. And there have been cases where men have come to the rescue. I heard one case where, again, all white people, a white woman is being attacked by a man. Another man intervenes, hits the man who's attacking the woman, and he falls and he dies. Now the guy who's trying to be a white knight flying in on his cape, has now got a manslaughter charge for trying to defend a random woman. Now, am I saying that's normal? Am I saying that that's what happens all the time? No, that's not what I'm saying. But what April Mason and the women who are angry with brothers who make this claim that you are putting the lives of random black men in danger, what these women don't understand is the women who will tell you, I don't need your help, go about your business, he's my man, don't get involved. They look just like April Mason. They could dress nice. They could look pretty. They could wear fancy clothes. They could even carry themselves in a way that comes across as feminine. But guess what? When you step into that situation, you are putting yourself in a position to be harmed. You could be killed. You could be arrested. You have to go and give police reports. It's headache for somebody who you are not obliged to help. And let's be real, most of us are not going to see a situation going down and just turn a blind eye. Not 100%. Maybe we'll pick the phone up and call the police. But how many of us here, if we saw a situation going down as a man or a woman, would actually get up and put ourselves physically in harm's way? Black women like to talk about sisterhood and we need to get a gun. And all we've got is ourselves, ladies. You can go through the comment section and you'll just see all this rhetoric. How many of you black women said, let's go over to April Mason's house and form a chain outside her house to protect her and her cousin? How many? How many women see people fighting and you get up and you go and intervene? I've seen people fighting. And after this protection conversation, not this one, but there has been numerous bouts of protection conversation in the black community. This conversation is not new. I looked at it and I thought, you know what? Don't get involved. And tutus, after these people look like they're about to come to blows, they're walking down the street hand in hand, pally pally. You don't know who's who. And you don't know what they're carrying when you get involved in these situations. You may be a do-gooder trying to help. But guess what? You could end up being the one who comes off badly trying to assist somebody who you don't know. There are levels to obligation. And to be quite frank, no one owes us anything. Not our partners, not our kids, not our family, not our friends, not even our parents. We can say there's a code, there's a contract, you have a responsibility, yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, let's be real. How many of us have parents who wash their hands? How many of us have children that don't call, don't text, don't come to see us? You go to the nursing homes, you go in the community. Everybody's talking about being lonely. But these people didn't come into existence in isolation. How many kids are in orphanages and children's homes and group homes? How many? When people want to walk away from their responsibility and their obligation, they can. And they do. So if I have a problem, I should be able to turn to my blood, my friends, my family. But if they can't help me, I have to take that upon myself. And there are friends who are closer than family, so let's not say that. But first port of call should have been family. After family, your good friends. And then after your good friends, maybe your acquaintances. And then it's whoever else has mercy on you after that. And this is the bit that winds me up about these women who keep going into the men's comment section. They're shouting and saying this, that, and this whole victimization bullshit. Oh, we're on our own. Well, these men ain't this, these men ain't that. Other groups of women are not getting this high level of protection like you think. Do I think that maybe they get more? I could believe that. I could believe that. I could believe that. But this is the seed that the black women have sown. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. You cannot raise weak males and then be surprised that when you need them to be strong, they can't come through. You cannot have children with no good father in the home and then be surprised that these men are, you know, the hardware or the firmware, if you're in America, the firmware is male, but the software is female. And this is the disingenuousness of this conversation that really hurts me so much. These black women know the root of the problem is the fact that they are not, or we are not. We as black women, we drop the ball. There are areas where we do not do the right things. And we don't want to admit that our actions have repercussions on the wider society. The guys that we date validates the type of men that those men are. It's a conditioning. It's a conditioning process. When women say, I like thugs, I like D-boys, I like gangsters, I like dudes who dress a certain way or act a certain way or drive a certain car, that behavior is going to be reinforced in the black community because men by nature will want to do what they feel they need to do to get female attention. So you cannot be surprised when you keep saying, I like thugs, and thugs multiply. And thugs and D-boys, they come with their baggage. And this is what black women are complaining about. The baggage that they have to endure as a result of dealing with the kind of men that they like to be involved with. To then come out and try to shame black men for standing up and saying, I've got a wife at home. I've got children to live for. I've got a job. I do not want to put myself in a position where I can be harmed for a woman who is not under my jurisdiction. I thought that was so poor. It was poor. It was bad. It was bad. It's not fair to use your platform. And you see, black women always like to call any form of criticism bashing. You hate black women. You know, you've got issues. But to insult men who are trying to have a conversation with you and say you are a boy because you don't kowtow to me as a female, I thought that was low. And the women who do that online, and when we say these things, because I speak to myself, have there been times when I felt and said certain things? We should be ashamed. Cynthia G, Nyla, Paris, Chrissy, Crystalline, Shira. A lot of these women who come out here and make these trash videos about black men are basically shitting on their own doorstep, and then they're complaining about why it smells. Because if you talked about me the way some of these black women talk about black men, and then you turn around and ask me for help, maybe I'd have to come around with a charger and kidnap your ass, because I don't know who the hell you think you're talking to. After you done disrespect me, drag my name, put me at risk, then you want to come ask for help? But as women in general, because this is not just a black woman problem, women in general, we don't think from a perspective of the other person. We only think from our own perspective. All these women are talking from an egocentric point. Oh, you know, if it was your cousin, if it was your daughter, wouldn't you want somebody to help? If your mother, wouldn't you want somebody to help? Of course, who wouldn't want somebody to help? But on the flip side, you cannot blame people for not getting involved. You can't blame people for not wanting to get involved. Because I bet you any money, if you came across a situation, you wouldn't get involved. This whole equality thing, women can do what men can do, yada, yada, yada. It's crazy. It's crazy and it's not genuine. Because as everyone uses the common example, you hear a bump in the middle of the damn night, you're in bed with a man. Ain't nobody saying to the man, oh, get behind me, honey. I'll pull my gun out, or I've got a taser, I've got some pepper spray in the side. You get behind me and I'll go down and see who it is. Any man who's hiding behind his woman when there's a bump in the night is probably going to be out on the front lawn the next day with all his shit. Because ain't no woman who's got any common sense gonna look at that man with an ounce of respect after that shit happens. It's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. And it's just rubbish. And the last bit, you know, with the brother, quote unquote, you know, you obviously you can't see me, you know, but I shake my head because I want to be respectful. And I want to be respectful because the man is trying to do what he feels is right and honorable. And in so doing, he has just put himself in a position to really to be dragged. You know, I don't want to disrespect the man. I don't want to talk too much about him. Mr. What's his name? Robert Jojo Hill. You know. He loves April, he cares for her, and he wants to help. But black men, or any race of man, because let's be real, MGTOW was started by a couple of white men in Australia. Okay? Anywhere where you have Western civilization and westernized women, you have this problem. Okay? Because the women are out of control. Because we have, do I really want to say this, too many rights. And let me say this, I'm not a big fan of in favor of taking women's rights away. But I do think some of the rights need to be amended because they're ridiculous. Children have too many rights. You know, people value the lives of animals over the lives of human beings. The world is upside down and backwards. So the laws do need to be adjusted to make them fair. Okay? And I think it will happen as more men speak out. But there are disproportionate rights given to women that actually are counterproductive to women. And a lot of the rhetoric that's out there, a lot of the narratives out there are only really harming women because they are the ones who are going to charge in head first. Charge in head first. Whereas the other women know where to stop. It seems like we black women, we don't know when to stop. And then a year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 down the line, we're on the internet talking rubbish. And I don't want to say anything too much about Robert Jojo Hill. I don't. Because what I would say would be so bad. Not because he's a bad person, but because trying to think of the right word. I'm trying to think of the right word. Because he put his neck on the line. I don't even want to say too much. I don't even want to address him. I don't. But this is what black men do all the time. Caping for women, coming to their defense, getting involved in fights and arguments, trying to show that, you know, they're the big boy in the game and trying to impress women. And in the long run, you probably still won't even get that woman. Obviously, that doesn't apply to him because he's a married man. But in general, people need to stop making this personal about April Mason and deflecting as though this is about her personally. First and foremostly, it wasn't April Mason that was being abducted. It was her random cousin. Okay? No one don't know her cousin. To us, I don't know about you, but I bet to everybody else, April Mason's cousin is just a ordinary woman. She's not even famous. Maybe April says she's a singer, a backup singer or whatever, but she's still not famous on even the level of April Mason. So when you see a random woman walking down the street, she's not walking down the road with a sign that says, I'm April Mason's cousin, protect me because I'm a good woman, because my cousin's a good woman. You can tattoo that on your face till the cows come home, I'm a good woman. It still doesn't mean you're obliged to get anything. And unfortunately, in the black community, because we co-sign a lot of stuff which is detrimental to us as a people, the good will always suffer for the bad. And that's what April Mason and the people who try to defend her refuse to just acknowledge. Our behaviors impact the society. The things we say, the things we do, the way we carry ourselves, it has an impact on the way we are perceived by people outside. And just because you may be a good woman doesn't mean to say you walk down the street and glow. Your halo is showing and everybody knows, oh, there's a good one. So if I see her in trouble, I know I got to protect that one. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. And, you know, one of the reasons why I decided to actually make a video about this, number one, because we know a lot of women probably are not talking about this situation. But number two, when I read the comments, I'm heartbroken that black women say the things they say. After so many years of brothers trying to explain to you and to me, well, not so much to me because I just came in the manosphere, but after so many years of hearing these messages, because I know a lot of the women who have heard these conversations and been on these panels, you've heard this stuff before. It's time to just put it down and just fly the white flag. I need to fly the white flag. You need to fly the white flag. That's really hard to say fast. Okay? Because we are only damaging ourselves the longer we refuse to concede that this is what we need to do. We're only hurting ourselves. If we want protection from black men, we have to also show respect to black men. We have to raise our black boys to be men. And we have to give them role models in the form of good fathers. Because if my little family and my neighbor's little family and that little family across the street, we're all looking out for each other, that's how we have a group type of protection. You work, this one works, I'm at home, you bring your kids to my house, they're safe. That way, you know, I can go make my money and I know my children are looked after. Because a lot of the women who are out here talking about we are on our own, you need to go and ask your mother, why are you on your own? Okay? Don't ask a black man who's 18, 25, 35, 40, 50, where's my protection? Go ask your dad, where were you? And if you know where your dad is, ask him what happened with my mom. Because a lot of the times black women just want to make everything about everybody except the female. And you know it's not right, I know it's not right. It's easy, we don't want to face the facts that we messed up, we dropped the ball. But until you own that, until I own that, until I look at myself and I say, I've made some mistakes and I need to do better, guess what? The situation is only going to get worse. You know, and the last bit, which I'm not really going to touch on because I don't even care enough to touch on it. Trying to threaten black men with leaving the black community. I mean, really? The vast majority of people, they date people that are around them and those people look like them. Similarly, when you are attacked or a victim of crime, it's often people that will look like you. So let's not pretend that black women being abused, murdered, abducted by other black men or black people is strange. Because white women are being abducted and killed and raped by white men. Asians are being killed by Asians. Chinese are being killed by Chinese. So it's not a thing where the black man is the big bad wolf and every other man is virtuous, or when you compare it. But it still goes back to choice. Why did you engage that particular dude? How come you didn't know he was dangerous? And that's not me blaming the victim, but that's another silencing tactic anyway. You must be blaming the victim. You're trying to shame the victim. You know, so I need to do better. A lot of black women need to do better. We need to humble. We need to see where we're messing up and just recognize, you know, a lot of black men don't want the world. They just want some basic stuff. And as long as you dig your heels in, I dig my heels in, the community, if you really want a community, will never be built. Because you cannot build a community where only half the community is trying. And a lot of black women, they want the benefits, it appears, of the community, but they don't want to build the community itself. They want the rewards and the benefits of being part of a community, but they don't actually want to do the sacrificial work that it takes. And I understand it's not easy, because if you've been indoctrinated with feminist ideas for, decades, and now it's the propaganda is out of control. It's sickening. I mean, you can't turn on anything. You can't watch the TV. You can't see a commercial on the street without either a man with pink hair and his mouth wide open, or some fingernail, polish on his damn hand. You can't see some butch looking chick or some, let me just not, let me not even go there. You cannot. Attacking kids as young as 5, telling them, if you feel like you're in the wrong body, and trying to make these children get taken away from their own parents because they claim they're transgender. Even though the procedure to change, quote unquote, change a child from one gender to the other in and of itself is abusive. But because, social justice warriors tell us, oh, it's choice, they're allowed to abuse your child. But if you say to a boy you should wear blue and play with the Action Man, that's suddenly abuse. So I understand it's hard. If you've been hardwired for decades to think a certain way, it's not surprising you're going to struggle to let that go. And let's be real, we're not living in like the 1950s or the 1900s or, 2000 years ago. Okay? You can still have an education and a job. If you don't have kids, there's no reason why you can't work. You can have a very successful business from home. So let's not pretend that if you were patriarchal, if you were submissive, I know that's a dirty word, if you were complicit with your man, let's not pretend like, you'd be chained in the corner. But again, this is how the narrative is framed in order to get sympathy. But when you decide to be the man, you forfeit a real man's protection. So that's all I have to say on this. Thank you so much for your time. Have a blessed day. Take care. Bye-bye.